They appeared on a quiet Sunday morning in March, when the cherry blossoms were just beginning to bloom in Washington, D.C. Massive ships, each one larger than the largest human aircraft carrier, materialized in high orbit around Earth. They came without warning, without declaration, emerging from what appeared to be tears in the fabric of space itself. Global communications went dark for exactly 3 minutes and 17 seconds. When they returned, every screen on Earth, from Times Square billboards to smartphones in rural villages, displayed the same message. To the inhabitants of Sol 3, prepare to receive the emissaries of the Galactic Federation. In the depths of Cheyenne Mountain, General Sarah Chen watched the situation unfold with an expression that betrayed nothing of her inner thoughts. Around her, the command center hummed with activity as analysts and officers tracked the alien vessel's positions and capabilities. "What's their weapons status?" she asked, her voice steady. "No active targeting systems detected, General," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his station. "But their energy signatures, they're off the charts. Each ship could probably level a continent." Chen nodded slowly. "Just as we expected. Maintain Protocol Omega. Let's see what they want." The aliens didn't keep them waiting long. A single shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, heading directly for the United Nations headquarters in New York. As it approached, all attempts to scan its interior failed. The vessel seemed to exist in a bubble of altered physics. The shuttle landed with impossible grace on the UN Plaza, and from it emerged 3 figures that would forever change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. They walked on 2 legs, but that's where their resemblance to humans ended. Their bodies seemed to shift and flow like liquid mercury, their skin refracting light in ways that made them difficult to look at directly. "We are the representatives of the Galactic Federation," the central figure announced in perfect English, its voice somehow reaching every ear on Earth simultaneously. "Your world has been selected for integration into our collective. This is an honor reserved for species showing potential for advancement." In the Cheyenne Mountain Command Center, General Chen's secure quantum phone buzzed. The caller ID showed a single letter, P. "Madam President," Chen answered. "They're exactly what the Artemis Protocol predicted," the president said without preamble. "How soon can we execute?" Chen glanced at a screen showing readiness status for humanity's greatest secret. "Task forces are at 97% readiness. We can begin within 6 hours." "Good, because I don't think we're going to like what comes next." As if on cue, the alien representative's voice filled the command center again. "The terms of integration are non-negotiable. Earth will submit to Federation governance. Your military forces will be disbanded. Your resources will be managed by Federation oversight. Your population will be optimized." The alien paused, its mercurial form rippling. "You have 72 hours to accept these terms. Resistance would be unfortunate." In orbit, the alien ships maintained their positions, their massive forms blocking out the stars. But they hadn't noticed the subtle shifts in the asteroid belt, or the energy signatures briefly flickering in the dark side of the moon. They hadn't detected the quantum encrypted transmissions bouncing between hidden bases on Mars and beneath Earth's oceans. They hadn't realized that humanity had been preparing for this moment for over 50 years. General Chen opened a secure channel to all Artemis Protocol facilities worldwide. "This is Sierra Actual. Authentication code, Prometheus Rising." She took a deep breath, thinking of all the years of preparation that had led to this moment. "Execute Operation Starbreak." I say again, Operation Starbreak is now active. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet began to power up. In underground bases and secret orbital facilities, men and women who had trained their entire lives for this moment moved to their stations. Below the surface of Mars, antimatter engines came online. In the asteroid belt, railgun platforms shifted into attack positions. The aliens had come expecting to find a primitive species ready for harvesting. Instead, they were about to learn why humanity had survived every threat it had ever faced. The stars were watching, and humanity was about to show them something new. Deep beneath the Martian polar ice cap, Commander Maya Patel stood in the heart of humanity's largest hidden shipyard. Around her, the massive cavern thrummed with activity as the final preparations were made to reveal Earth's greatest secret. Rows of sleek warships stretched into the darkness, their hulls gleaming under the harsh artificial lights. "Status report," she commanded, her voice carrying across the command center. "All ships reporting ready, Commander," her XO, David Chen, responded. "Artemis fleet is at full combat readiness. Quantum drives are spooled and weapon systems are hot." Maya nodded, studying the holographic display showing their fleet's positions throughout the solar system. The Federation ships still held their positions around Earth, their sensors sweeping space for any sign of resistance. But they were looking in the wrong places, using the wrong methods. "They really don't know we're here, do they?" David mused, watching the alien vessel movements. "No," Maya replied. "They're scanning for quantum signatures, gravimetric distortions, all the standard markers of advanced civilization. But we learned long ago that sometimes the best way to hide is to use technology so basic it's beneath notice." The shipyard's massive containment field was powered by simple fusion reactors. Their ship's stealth systems used materials that absorbed and redirected energy rather than complex cloaking devices. Sometimes, the old ways were the best ways. In her earpiece, General Chen's voice crackled. "Commander Patel, initiate Phase 1. Show them what we've got." Maya smiled. "With pleasure, General." She opened the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is Artemis Actual. Execute emergence pattern Delta. Weapons free, but remember your training. We're not here to destroy them. We're here to make them listen." Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet began to move. From the ice caves of Mars, from asteroid hollows, from the dark side of moons, and the depths of Earth's oceans, ships emerged like wolves from the shadows. The Federation ships detected the movement too late. Their first warning came when a human destroyer materialized seemingly from nowhere, its primitive but devastating kinetic weapons already firing. The alien shields, designed to stop energy weapons, proved surprisingly vulnerable to good old-fashioned tungsten rods accelerated to relativistic speeds. "First blood," David reported, watching the tactical display. The Hyperion scored direct hits on their flagship's sensor array. "Their defensive grid is adapting, but slower than we predicted." Maya nodded. "They're too dependent on their AI systems. They've forgotten how to think tactically." She keyed her comm. "All ships, execute attack pattern Epsilon. Remember your training." "They're stronger, but we're smarter." The human fleet moved with practiced precision, breaking into smaller wolf packs that struck from multiple vectors. Federation ships, used to fighting formal battles with clear lines and predictable tactics, found themselves caught in a three-dimensional chess game where the pieces kept changing places. From her command center on Mars, Maya watched as decades of preparation paid off. The Federation ships were more advanced in almost every way, but they fought like machines. Predictable, programmed, inflexible. Humanity fought like survivors, using every dirty trick and desperate gambit they'd learned in millennia of warfare. In Earth orbit, a Federation cruiser found itself suddenly surrounded by what appeared to be a cloud of debris. Too late, they realized each piece of debris was actually a microdrone, broadcasting false sensor readings that confused their targeting systems. While their AI struggled to make sense of the contradictory data, 3 human ships emerged from hiding and opened fire. "The Artemis Doctrine is working," David reported. "They can't adapt fast enough to our changing tactics. Their ships are starting to break formation." Maya allowed herself a grim smile. The Artemis Doctrine, developed over decades of preparation, was based on a simple principle: unpredictability. Each human ship captain had trained to fight differently, to think independently, to improvise. Against an enemy that relied on patterns and protocols, chaos was their greatest weapon. New contact. An operator called out. Multiple Federation ships emerging from FTL at the system edge. Heavy capital ships, at least 3 carrier groups. Maya studied the tactical display, watching as more alien ships poured into the solar system. The Federation was calling in reinforcements, just as planned. They still didn't understand. This wasn't a battle for territory or resources. This was humanity announcing its presence to the galaxy, and they were going to make sure the message was heard. All ships, maintain engagement protocols, she ordered. Let them come. The more ships they commit, the more ships get to watch what happens next. She opened a channel to General Chen. General, the Federation took the bait. Request permission to initiate Phase 2. Granted, Commander. Chen's voice was steady. Show them why you don't corner a species that invented nuclear weapons just to end a war. Maya turned to David. Signal the Prometheus group. It's time to unveil our true capabilities. Deep in the Kuiper Belt, where even the Federation's best sensors couldn't penetrate, humanity's real superweapon waited. Not a device of destruction, but something far more dangerous, proof that humans could do the impossible. The Federation was about to learn that they weren't dealing with just another primitive species. They were dealing with humanity, and humanity had never played by anyone's rules but their own. The Kuiper Belt held secrets older than human civilization, and Chief Scientist Dr. Elena Santos was about to reveal one of them. In a station hidden within a hollow comet, she stood before a device that defied conventional physics, humanity's greatest achievement and best-kept secret. Prometheus Array is powered and aligned, she reported, her voice steady despite the historic nature of the moment. Quantum entanglement field is stable at 99.8%. On her main screen, Commander Patel's face showed intense focus. You're certain this will work, Doctor? Elena nodded. The Federation uses quantum communications because they believe it's impossible to intercept or jam. They never considered that someone might find a way to manipulate the quantum field itself. The Prometheus Array was elegant in its simplicity. Instead of trying to block quantum communications, it changed the nature of quantum space itself within its field of effect. In that altered space, the Federation's technology would find itself speaking a different language than the rest of the universe. Execute, Patel ordered. Elena pressed her hand against the biometric scanner. Initiating Prometheus Protocol in 3, 2, 1. Across the solar system, Federation ships suddenly found themselves blind and deaf. Their quantum communications, the backbone of their military coordination, dissolved into meaningless noise. Ships that had fought as one mind for centuries found themselves alone in the dark. In the Mars Command Center, Maya Patel watched the chaos unfold. All ships, execute attack pattern Omega. Hit them hard, hit them fast. But remember, we want surrenders, not destruction. The human fleet moved like a school of predators that had practiced this dance for years. Federation ships, cut off from their command and control, found themselves surrounded by enemies that seemed to anticipate their every move. "Ma'am," David reported, "the Federation flagship is attempting to coordinate their forces using light-speed communications." Maya allowed herself a small smile. Just as predicted. They've forgotten how to fight without instant communication. Signal all ships, begin electronic warfare protocols. Humanity had been fighting with radio waves for over a century. They knew every trick, every countermeasure, every way to corrupt and confuse electronic signals. The Federation's attempts at conventional communication dissolved into a sea of noise and false signals. From her station in the Comet, Elena watched the tactical display with satisfaction. "They're trying to adapt their quantum field to compensate," she reported. "But they don't understand what they're dealing with. They think this is a technological problem they can solve. But it's not, is it?" Maya's voice carried a note of pride. "No," Elena confirmed. "This is about understanding the fundamental nature of space-time itself. We didn't build a better quantum communication system. We changed the rules that make quantum communication possible. In Earth orbit, a Federation dreadnought found itself surrounded by 5 smaller human vessels. Its captain, operating on centuries of ingrained tactical doctrine, attempted to power up its main weapon systems. But in the altered quantum space, the exotic particles its weapons relied on behaved differently. The massive energy discharge curved back on itself, forcing the ship to drop its shields or risk destruction. "Another surrender signal," David reported. "That makes 7 capital ships in the last hour." Maya nodded. "Send in the boarding teams, and make sure our guests get a good look at who they're dealing with. It's time they understood exactly what humanity is capable of." The boarding teams were another surprise for the Federation. Instead of the power-armored troops they expected, they found themselves facing humans in simple environmental suits, armed with projectile weapons and tactical skills honed by millennia of warfare. The Federation's personal shield technology, designed to stop energy weapons, proved surprisingly vulnerable to well-placed bullets. In the Kuiper Belt Station, Elena's team detected a surge of quantum activity at the edge of the system. "Multiple high-mass signatures emerging from FTL," she reported, reading energy signatures consistent with their heaviest dreadnought class. Maya studied the tactical display, watching as the Federation's reinforcements arrived. They were committing their reserve fleet, just as the human strategists had predicted. The Federation, faced with an impossible situation, was falling back on its one standard response: overwhelming force. "They still don't understand," Maya said softly. "They think this is about ships and weapons and technology." She opened a channel to all human forces. "All ships, maintain current operations. Let them come. Phase 3 begins on my mark." In hidden bases throughout the solar system, humanity's final surprise was about to be revealed. The Federation had brought their biggest guns to the fight, but they were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their ships, their technology, or even the Prometheus array. It was their ability to imagine the impossible, and then make it real. Admiral Vexthor of the Federation's Grand Armada watched in mounting disbelief as his supposedly invincible fleet struggled against what should have been an insignificant primitive species. His crystalline command interface pulsed with urgent reports from across the solar system, each one more disturbing than the last. "Impossible," he muttered, his translucent appendages rippling with agitation. "They're using technology centuries behind ours. This cannot be happening." But it was happening, and in the Mars Command Center, Commander Maya Patel was about to make it even worse for the Federation. "All ships, execute Phase 3, she ordered. "Show them what happens when you give humans a few decades to reverse engineer alien technology." Throughout the solar system, human ships began to change. Panels shifted, revealing hidden systems that had remained dormant until now. The Federation's sensors detected a cascade of quantum signatures as technology they thought impossible for humans to possess came online. In her Comet station, Dr. Elena Santos monitored the transformation. "Hybrid systems are integrating perfectly," she reported. "The Federation's stolen tech is meshing with our modifications exactly as designed." 50 years ago, a Federation scout ship had crashed in the Atacama Desert. The Federation thought they had destroyed it before humans could learn anything useful. They were wrong. That single ship had given humanity a glimpse of what was possible, and humans had done what they did best. They had innovated. "What are these readings?" Admiral Vexthor demanded, studying the sudden changes in the human fleet. "Their ships are showing energy signatures that should be impossible for their level of development." His science officer's response was interrupted by a transmission that cut through their supposedly unbreakable encryption. Commander Patel's image appeared on their command interface. "Admiral," she said calmly, "I believe it's time we had a discussion about the nature of technological advancement." Before he could respond, Maya nodded to someone off-screen. Suddenly, the Federation's most advanced sensors detected something that should not exist. Human ships were manipulating quantum fields in ways that the Federation had only theorized about. "You see, Admiral," Maya continued, "when we found your scout ship, we didn't just copy your technology. We asked questions you stopped asking centuries ago. Like, what if there's a better way? The human fleet moved with newfound purpose, their hybrid technology allowing them to match and exceed Federation capabilities. But they weren't fighting like the Federation. They were fighting like humans with better tools. In the Kuiper Belt, Alina's team activated the final phase of the Prometheus array. Field expansion complete, she reported. The entire solar system is now operating under human-modified quantum laws. Federation ships found their most advanced weapons either useless or dangerously unpredictable. Their quantum computers, the pride of their civilization, struggled to operate in space that no longer followed their fundamental assumptions about reality. This is your final warning, Admiral. Maya's voice was firm. You can retreat now, or you can watch as we demonstrate exactly how much we've learned from studying your technology. Admiral Vexthor's command staff were frantically reporting cascade failures across their fleet. Weapons wouldn't fire, shields wouldn't form, and their fastest ships could barely maintain position. But worse than the technical failures was the dawning realization that they had catastrophically underestimated their opponents. In the Mars Command Center, David monitored the Federation fleet's deteriorating condition. They're losing cohesion, he reported. Individual ship captains are beginning to break formation. Maya nodded. They're starting to understand. Signal the Artemis fleet. Begin containment procedures. Don't let any ships escape until we've made our point. The human fleet moved with practiced precision, herding the Federation ships into a massive containment formation. It was a tactic developed by ancient naval commanders, adapted for three-dimensional space warfare by generations of human strategists. Final system check complete. Elena reported from her station. We're ready for the demonstration. Maya opened a channel to all ships, Federation and human alike. Attention all vessels. What you're about to witness is humanity's response to being threatened. We could have built bigger ships. We could have made stronger weapons. Instead, we did something you never considered. We changed the rules. In the space around Pluto, reality itself seemed to ripple. A massive door opened in space, not a wormhole or a jump point, but something entirely new. Through it, the assembled ships could see another solar system, one that should have been light years away. That's impossible, Admiral Vexthor whispered. The energy requirements alone. Impossible is what humans do best, Admiral, Maya replied. This is what happens when you give a species with our history the right tools and the wrong motivation. Now, shall we discuss terms? The Federation fleet hung motionless in space, their ancient technology rendered virtually useless by human innovation. They had come expecting to find primitives ready for conquest. Instead, they had found humanity, a species that had taken their technology and reimagined what was possible. And this was just the beginning. 1 month after the Battle of Sol, the Grand Council Chamber of the Galactic Federation hosted an unprecedented event. For the first time in its 100,000-year history, a new species was being admitted without first being conquered. Commander Maya Patel stood before the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds. Her simple dress uniform a stark contrast to their ornate ceremonial garments. Dr. Elena Santos and General Chen flanked her, presenting a united front of humanity's military, scientific, and strategic leadership. The terms are simple, Maya stated, her voice carrying easily through the vast chamber. Earth and the Sol system remain sovereign territory. We will join the Federation as equals, not subjects. Our technology remains our own, to share or withhold as we see fit. The Federation counselors stirred uneasily. On the main days, Admiral Vexthor, now serving as the chief negotiator, spoke carefully. Your achievements are impressive, but surely you understand that integration into our system would be more beneficial for all parties. Elena stepped forward, activating a holographic display. Above the chamber, a representation of quantum space flickered to life, showing how human innovations had fundamentally altered what the Federation thought possible. We understand perfectly, Elena replied. We understand that your civilization has spent centuries perfecting a single path of technological development. And we understand that in just 50 years, we found dozens of alternatives you never considered. The display shifted, showing the new form of faster-than-light travel humanity had developed, not by brute forcing their way through space-time like Federation ships, but by gently persuading physics to make an exception. This is what humanity offers the Federation, General Chen added. Not submission to your way of doing things, but collaboration in finding new ways. We're not interested in replacing your civilization. We want to help it grow again. The chamber erupted in discussion, thousands of species debating in hundreds of languages. Maya waited patiently, knowing that this moment would define humanity's relationship with the galaxy for centuries to come. A new figure approached the central platform. The Grand Arbiter of the Federation, a being so ancient that its original species had long since evolved into something else entirely. In all our history, the Arbiter's thoughts resonated directly in their minds. No species has ever refused integration. None has ever had the capacity to do so. Yet you humans did more than refuse. You showed us possibilities we had forgotten existed. The Arbiter turned to address the chamber. Look at what they accomplished with a single damaged scout ship and 50 years of preparation. Imagine what they might achieve as allies rather than conquered subjects. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy experienced changes it hadn't seen in millennia. Human innovations began to spread, not through conquest or assimilation, but through cooperation and exchange. Federation ships adopted hybrid technologies, combining their ancient reliability with human ingenuity. But more importantly, the Federation itself began to change. Species that had been content to accept their place in the hierarchy started asking questions, exploring new possibilities. The age of stagnation was ending. In orbit around Earth, Maya stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned Earth ship Prometheus, watching as human and Federation vessels maneuvered together in joint exercises. They're adapting faster than we expected, Elena noted, joining her at the window. Some of their younger officers are already experimenting with our tactical doctrines. Good, Maya replied. That's what we wanted, not to dominate, but to catalyze. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our warfare doctrine. It's our ability to imagine a different future, General Chen finished, entering the observation deck, and our determination to make it real. Below them, Earth turned serenely, its night side glittering with cities. But now those lights were joined by new ones. Federation trading posts, cultural exchanges, and joint research facilities. Humanity had taken its place among the stars not through conquest or submission, but by being uniquely, uncompromisingly human. In deep space, near the edge of human-controlled territory, a Federation scout ship detected an anomaly, signs of another civilization, one that might be ready for contact. The ship's captain, recently trained in human diplomatic protocols, made a decision that would have been unthinkable a year ago. Instead of calling for an integration fleet, they sent a message. Greetings, we come seeking friendship and exchange of knowledge. The stars were still watching, but now they were watching something new. The beginning of a galaxy where diversity was strength, where innovation was celebrated, and where humanity's determination to forge its own path had shown everyone that the impossible was just something that hadn't been tried yet. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, other young civilizations were looking up at their own stars, unaware that when first contact came, it would bring not conquest, but opportunity. Thanks to a species that had dared to change not just themselves, but the very nature of galactic civilization. The future was no longer written in stone. It was written in the endless possibilities that humanity had always seen in the stars.